Yo, welcome to the Bold Studio podcast. My name is Regan Strand. We're co-hosting with my friend over here, Colin Craig. And today we're going to get in the weeds of the things. Colin, go for it.
So we are basically just going to be reacting to this news story. Mm-hmm. And this is according to the New York Times. It says the U.S. Justice Department sued Adobe for hiding costly cancellation fees and making it hard to cancel subscriptions for its design software, including Photoshop. The lawsuit claims Adobe hid fee details, quote, in fine print and behind optional text boxes and hyperlinks, end quote, and made cancellations difficult via its website and customer service. This is part of a broader effort to rein in big tech's power. Adobe earned $14.22 billion from subscriptions in 2023. Adobe denies the allegations and plans to refute them in court.
So I'm actually really excited about this topic because it is, I would say 80% of creators right now own some sort of Adobe subscription. Mm-hmm. Okay, whether it's Lightroom, Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, After Effects, any of those specific products, because they help make our job easier. And the thing is Adobe positioned themselves very, very well to be the
industry standard.
Yes, thank you. That's the word. Industry standard of programs. With that being said, I have gone to go cancel my subscription 4 times, and every time I do it, let's just say that the normal subscription was $60 a month. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, hey, I don't want to pay that anymore. I'll go just use Canva for Pete's sakes or something either. And I'll go and cancel it, and they'll be like, hey, if you want to stay on, we'll change your subscription for like $35.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's half of what I'm paying right now. I still use it.
And I've done the same thing.
It's great.
I've gone, and normally it's like for new users.
Yep.
Like if you, this doesn't apply to existing customers, but if you just go, and I think you told me this years ago.
Yep.
You're like, just ask them. The worst they can say is no, and you're just right where you are right now. But if you go and ask, like talk to their online chat support and whatever, and say, hey, I know you're offering this for new subscribers. I'm an existing subscriber, but I would also like to take advantage of this deal. Can you help me out? And they'll be like, yes, usually. They'll be like, yes,
right.
We're going to cancel your subscription right now.
Right. And
we'll just resubscribe you and give you the discount. And so, mine right now is at least half of what it's been.
And if you think about it, at that point, it almost makes it worth it because you're using these things to obviously get more jobs and better quality work. Now, the issue here is they're saying that they've hid fees and made it significantly difficult for you to cancel your subscription. I agree with this, but I'm not dealing with it the same way that you are. Because I pay for a monthly subscription. You pay for an annual subscription.
Well, so it's weird how they have it set up because I pay for an annual subscription paid monthly.
Oh, so it's just a cheaper rate.
It's a cheaper rate because it's annual.
Right.
But I'm paying it monthly, which already that doesn't sound...
that does not add up.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, why not just... But I mean, I guess if it makes it appealing to people for them to go and do it, like they're still going to get their money.
But they're also not paying $700 up front.
Right out the gate of subscribing.
Okay, so you tried to cancel your subscription. Mm-hmm. How did that work out for you?
Well, so I don't think that it's actually that complicated to cancel.
Okay.
Like it seems like it's pretty straightforward. I haven't had an issue in actually going through the process, but the thing that's annoying is when you go in and try to cancel, they basically say, hey, we're sorry to see you go. Just know that you are going to have to pay this cancellation fee. And as of right now, I think it's $173.
Holy smokes.
Or something like that.
Not me, friend.
And I initially thought that was the remaining amount that I owe for my yearly, because I'm paying annual, monthly, but annual. I thought that was the remaining amount. I added it all up, and if it was going to be the remaining amount, it would be significantly more.
Oh.
So this is just a high cancellation fee. Yeah. And they have a breakdown of, you know, if you're 1 month out, 2 months out, 3 months out of like from the end of your subscription, or maybe it's into your subscription, and they have a breakdown of the prices, but it still doesn't add up what it would be, what it's supposed to be. Okay. If it was like, you know, you owe this much on your annual subscription.
Because right now, I'm checking as you were talking about that. So I am paying a billed monthly subscription, and it's $39.99.
That's what mine is.
Okay. I'm going to go in here right now and see what it would cost for me to cancel.
I would be curious to see if it's consistent. If yours is the same as mine, since we're paying the same amount,
right,
but you're a monthly subscription and I'm an annual billed monthly subscription.
Hold on.
That would be interesting to see.
Yes, it would. And so actually total cost with tax is actually $43.29. That's what I'm paying for right now. Okay, backing up. So right now, if I were to cancel my subscription inside of Adobe, I would have to pay $159 because I am in month 7 of my annual monthly subscription. That doesn't even make any sense, an annual monthly subscription.
Yeah. I mean, I still think it's supposed to make it more appealing.
Which, I mean, in terms it did, I guess.
Yeah.
But
it's still really annoying that, and like the amount of digging that we just had to do to find that is
unacceptable.
Is, you know, that's why they're in a court case right now.
So, and we did a I had a month to month before I did this, because I think I went back and canceled, and they did give me the option to, I want to say they gave me the option of doing a month to month or the annual paid monthly because of it being cheaper.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was like, oh, I mean, yeah, I'm literally paying half of what I was before, because like I said, it was like 60.
Yeah, it was like 70 bucks.
Yeah, almost $70 with tax and everything. So
and now, actually, I think they had increased it before that. I want to say it was almost 80.
I mean, that's very accurate.
I remember, and maybe it was just
a
75.
Month.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, bro, yes, your apps are great, but holy cow, like that $80 a month.
Not that great.
Not that great. Especially when they crash.
Yes. And like all the updates and things that they have to do.
Right.
Now, kind of pivoting from that, going into alternatives for creative apps.
Correct.
I don't think, like, Adobe stuff is the industry standard.
Correct.
For creative apps.
And they know that, which is why they're charging what they do.
Right. And hiding fees and
all that
kind of stuff.
Yep.
Now, there are some alternatives that I think are comparable to Adobe. They're not the industry standard, but they're, you know, for what you're doing, it's pretty close. Now, I will say they don't have the like AI integration that Adobe has, but for every other aspect, I think they're comparable.
So specifically in your world, because you are a graphic designer by nature, like that's like your thing. If you're not using Illustrator, what is your alternative to that?
So kind of backing up to before I used Illustrator, there was a software that I used a long time ago. It's a free software, and it's called GIMP. And it's just...
Never heard of it.
It's like, I think, a step above, maybe a few steps above, like Microsoft Paint. Like, it's not bad. It's not that bad.
I was gonna say Microsoft Paint is what I did in like third grade.
It's not that bad. But I mean, but that was the time that I was using it too. Is around, you know, I was in my teens.
That makes sense.
But I mean, that's where I kind of started. And actually, the first logo I ever designed was in Paint. It was in Microsoft Paint.
I mean, I did a lot inside of Paint too. I'm just saying, as far as...
So that's kind of like where I started. And then at some point I got Photoshop, like just Photoshop. This was back when you could just get a single purchase of the application.
Because that's all you needed?
Because, and you got, you know, free updates or whatever. Like,
that's great.
And then they switched to subscriptions and you get all of them.
Which is cool, I guess, if you need all of them. But
so then I got to Illustrator, and like that was... Actually, I used Photoshop for a long time for graphic design. I didn't even use Illustrator.
Oh, I still use Photoshop for graphic design.
And I didn't want to touch Illustrator. But in college, I did. I got really into Illustrator.
Weird.
And so that was like the application for me. Now, fast forwarding to now, I started looking into, what is it called? Affinity.
I actually use that on my iPad, and it's great.
And I haven't messed around with their photo application, their equivalent of Photoshop.
Okay.
But their Affinity Designer is actually pretty good. And
Really?
something that, switching applications, going from Adobe to other softwares, if you know terminology and like know the tools that these things have and know what to look for, it's not that hard to switch over. And a lot of the user interface between Illustrator and Affinity it's similar.
Yeah.
Like those applications, it's almost like Adobe set the stage for how it's supposed to look as far as user interface.
For sure.
And everyone was just like, oh, that's an efficient, clean way to do that. Let's just go with that.
We'll adapt that and make that part of our UI.
So you can use any application, but you just have to know terminology and what tools you're looking for. And you can do it, and you can adjust.
So
and
would you, if you could right now, without paying even the fee right now, would you cancel your Adobe subscription?
Probably, yeah.
Why?
There's a lot of, I don't like their hidden fees. That seems sketchy.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're trying to charge all of these fees if you want to leave, like they're making it harder for people to use anything else, which from a business standpoint, I guess that's good, but it just seems shady. Like it doesn't seem like they actually care about their customers.
Their customer base. They're just worried about trying to make sure they get that dollar meet their quarterly quota.
Now, there was a rumor going around that anything that you created with their AI stuff, they own your content. And I did read a blog post from Adobe that clarified that and said that they don't own anything that's on your hard drive or whatever. They didn't say that they don't have access to or scan your cloud storage.
Which I'm sure they do.
But they did say that you will always own your content. And they also said that they do not use customers' content for their AI learning.
Which I don't believe that, because how else are you culling and pulling that information?
The only thing that I could think is that they're using the stuff that's like on their stock footage or their stock photo sites.
If that is the case, though, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. If that is the case, which is fine because you're technically licensing and giving that content to Adobe to use in stock, I believe there's still a sense of when they're taking that information, they're taking that deal that you're trying to get up there to be sold and make profit off of, and now it's being utilized inside of an AI generator and creating that content for Adobe elsewhere outside of what you're trying to get profit for, right?
Yes.
So in my mind, I'm like, because I used Adobe. I've been using Adobe for the last, I'd say, like 6 years-ish, because it is the industry standard, and I do enjoy working inside of its products. But the more and more that AI is taking over, and people are like, okay, well, now I want the rights to the things that you create. I'm like, no, I own this. I have the rights to this. For example, if I create a video or photography and things of that nature, 9 times out of 10, I will go and put, my watermark on that, because I own that thing.
Yeah.
And because I don't want people copying my work or taking my work and calling it theirs. And so the same thing with this applies. At least in my eyes, I'm not going to go put my video footage on your stock website that I'm trying to get sold from you, and then have you claim that and then use it for your stuff. Yeah. And have that be for free. Like that just completely mitigates the point.
No, I will say that the AI stuff, it's not necessarily that they are just giving it to people for free because they are charging, like you have to have a subscription to Adobe.
Right.
So in a way, they are paying for it if they're using the AI stuff. I don't like that they're using people's content for the AI learning stuff to generate images and that kind of thing, but people are paying for it.
I mean,
so maybe that's on us as creators not reading the terms of use. Like if we upload something to a stock site and we're like, we just want to sell it. We don't care about any other thing. Like that's just all we want to do.
Yeah, that's fair.
But if we are actually concerned about it, it should be on us to go and read
They're like,
those
hey,
terms.
go do your homework.
Yeah, like if you care that much about it, read the full terms of use, all 750 pages of it.
Yep.
Which I don't want to do.
Nope.
I'll just take it, put it in ChatGPT, and say consolidate the terms of use. Give it to me in bullet points.
Which is actually really smart, by the way.
We should
we should try that.
Doing that. But anyway, if you upload it and that's part of the terms, and people are paying to use generative fill or whatever, then that's just part of it.
And I mean, so to that's why I actually don't have really any of my stuff on Adobe. I don't want someone owning my things.
The idea of cloud storage too is, especially when it comes to creative content.
Yeah.
I don't want any of my stuff just let's say I have all of my stuff in cloud storage and Adobe is like one day, hey, we're bankrupt. We got to close our company. And they just shut everything down.
Oh, man.
And you lose your stuff.
That is a terrible, terrible feeling.
Surely they would notify people. But on the off chance that they didn't, or they don't have time, or whatever.
Well, even worse. Okay, because I use Dropbox.
Yeah.
For pretty much all of my stuff. I won't say all of it, but there's 4 terabytes of content up there right now that I don't have on hard drives because I'm just trying to offload space. God forbid they were like, you know what? We just got hacked. Our servers are destroyed, and oh man,
that would be bad.
It makes me want to. Hey, listen, we're gonna take some advice. That's probably a little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
If you have stuff on the cloud, go offload it. Get it offline. Yeah. You can still store it for now.
At least the really important stuff that you absolutely can't lose, like put that on a hard drive.
I'm gonna do that after we're done here.
There is on that blog post areas of clarification within their terms of use. And these are just the bullet points. They said, you own your content. We don't train generative AI on customer content. You have a choice to not participate in our product improvement program. That doesn't matter. And Adobe does not scan content stored locally on your computer in any way. So if you use their software and you store stuff on your hard drive, like let's say you create a logo, even though you use their software to create it, they don't have access to that just because you made it with their software.
Right.
It's only if you store it, at least that's my understanding, on their cloud storage.
Okay.
On the topic of AI, this is kind of a cool story.
I like this.
There was a photo competition. I can't remember where it was, but there was a photo competition, and they have different categories.
Okay.
And they had a category specifically for AI-generated content.
Okay.
Just so that they could kind of help sort out the people that are trying to use AI for real content. Like if it has its own category, we don't have to worry about it so much.
Right.
Because if someone wants to use AI, here's your category. So they said AI cannot be used in these other categories, but it can be used in this one. But they didn't say that real photos could not be submitted in the AI category. There was a guy that submitted a real photo that he took with a real camera to the AI category, and he won 3rd place.
What does that tell you?
He won 3rd place. Now, they did later take it back.
Yeah.
Because they found out, he didn't use AI. He used a real
He just
thing.
used a real photo.
And this is further confirmation to me that there will always be a place for real photographers, content creators that's not using AI.
Yep, I agree.
And there's
agree.
It's kind of like in the Top Gun movie Top Gun
Which
Maverick,
actually- yeah,
where they're like, there
great.
will always be a need for a pilot, a person in the seat.
Yeah.
You have all these autopilot things, but there will always be a need for a pilot
to man that aircraft.
to man that.
Yeah.
Same thing with content creation.
Agreed.
There is always a need. And if you use those tools for your content creation, that's great. Just use them as tools,
Yeah.
but don't let it do the work for you.
Correct.
So anyway, that's what that story shows.
Well, see, but I love that because this kind of just jumps me into my next point. So, the U.S. Supreme Court just passed a bill that bans drones in the U.S. Specifically, unmanned drones. So, these DJI. I mean, if you go look. Actually, hold on. I'll pull up the article right now. DJI drone ban. Okay, this was released 6 days ago. 6 days ago, it says the DJI ban update, current status, and future implementations for drone pilots. And it says the U.S. Supreme Court has passed a bill that is commissioning and regulating all DJI drones. Now, here's a problem with this because I'm a drone pilot. I'm actually I have 2 jobs this week where I go fly. And so the problem is people are concerned about privacy and, the use of drones. Whereas in I want to say it's Switzerland, maybe Europe. I can't remember which one. But they're like, listen, there is no bans. Drones are drones. It's public privacy. Obviously, you're not going to try and fly in someone's house. That's breaking rules and laws. But a drone's a drone. And those of us out here who are using it for work and tools and things of that nature are trying to continue to do so. It's those of us who are using it for the improper things, which is, I'm great with regulations. I did, my Part 107 pilot license. I did the whole thing, and I think it's a great place. And if you notice, and I think this has been coming for a while, because the last, I would say, 4 years from DJI, they've made their drones smaller and smaller and lighter to go around all these FAA regulations. And so my concern is now, is this going to take, because I have friends who are in agriculture and they use drones for their agriculture and their property and their farming. Walmart is now using and offering a drone service delivery or a drone delivery service that is literally 30 minutes or less. I don't know what the span of the radius is, but I watched it the other day and it's fascinating. It really is. It's kind of creepy because I'm not sure how I feel about a drone showing up to my house to deliver a package. But this is like some, what is that? Blade Runner 2024 kind of stuff. Just sadder, I guess, or not as sad. Blade Runner was pretty gloomy. But the cool part is I think that there's enough of a wave happening where, if the U.S. Supreme Court is having to be involved with what we're doing, there's a wave of that happening. Kind of pivoting that over to AI, same place. Yeah, it's not being regulated yet. It's definitely on the verge, and they call it the .com crash. So when the internet first came out, I think we talked about this before. When the internet first came out, everyone was like, "This is great," or "It's super terrible." There was no way to regulate that. Yeah. So there was a whole bunch of black market stuff. So there's still stuff happening there right now. But
something worth noting about the drone thing.
Oh, do tell.
Is DJI is a Chinese company, and that's where that comes in. Is people are worried that company is collecting data from the drones
and sending it back to China.
And sending it,
which it definitely is. Yeah. Because when you log into your drone and you accept the terms and agreements and all that kind of stuff, you're sharing satellite location. Of that drone with at least 10 to 15 different satellites. Yeah. So
it's depending on what the company is actually doing with the data. If it is taking it, I know that's the concern, but
right.
If you have 100,000 people in the United States flying a Chinese company's drones around, you essentially have the Chinese spy balloons from a couple years ago, or whatever it was. But
you're not wrong.
That's just the concern. Is you have you have spy balloons, drones flying around watching
that
all
we
of these,
bought.
to go do it. And you're basically paying money to use to spy on yourself and other people for a different country. Which kind of goes into the whole like the TikTok ban.
Yeah.
And like what they're using that
Which
data
sucks,
for.
but it's also the same thing.
It's the same thing. You have cameras in every person's hand with TikTok on it, and
literally showing
everything.
Millions of content in oh man.
So that's actually a valid. I think I don't like the if it was like a broad ban of drones and usage and all that stuff, that would be bad for content creation. Like that's not right. I don't think that's fair. But because it is, and I hadn't looked into the story a whole lot. I didn't know that DJI was a Chinese company.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So but you didn't go to Infocom or NAB?
No.
I would argue that 80% of the booths that are out there are Chinese brands.
Yeah.
Small rig. I mean, Nanlite, Aperture. I mean, these are all. I mean, if it's not owned by a Chinese organization, the contents at which that are being sold are coming from China.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I don't necessarily have an issue with like Chinese companies selling stuff like lights.
Right, me neither. But
cameras or software
data,
that has access to cameras and microphones.
Yes. Hollyland, Chinese company.
Yeah. And I mean that one's kind of just all these companies that have access to.
Well, and the terrible part is I mean it's great gear. It makes life actually so much easier. If you use a DJI transmission system, it is again it's one of the best distance and latency systems on the market today.
Yeah.
At an affordable price.
Yeah.
Versus like Teradek. I mean, you're going to spend $4,000 just for a transmitter and receiver.
But
and it craps out on you.
That doesn't necessarily have the same capabilities that a drone, obviously the flying, but
I think
the capturing and storing of data.
Correct. But I'm just saying, but DJI is, but they have the drones, they have the gimbals, they have cameras, action. I mean, that's the company themselves. They have the information.
I mean, you get, I don't want to say sucked in, but you just get so used to using these companies, that brand for all of your gear.
Right.
And then you're not even thinking about, I'm using a drone to spy on people. You're not using it for that, but like the company is using your drone.
Go fly that drone into that sunset so I can see where all those people are at on Monaco Bay. Yeah, that's terrible. And to kind of jump further down the Chinese rabbit hole, but so China was buying up like thousands and thousands of acreage here in the U.S. And very specific, like around military bases. Acreage. And can we talk about that for a second?
I don't.
It's not political. It's not a political podcast. But oh my gosh,
that I don't. I'm not like a. I don't watch Dr. Phil.
Oh, really? That's not weird.
But that is what I saw when I found out about them buying all of that land. Like that seems sketchy.
That's very sketchy.
You have all of this land around these military bases,
right?
And you have these drones, and these phones, spying on people,
100%
locations and all that stuff. Like not even just the cameras and microphones, but also location services.
Right.
You have your location turned on TikTok, and you know where every single person in the United States that has TikTok on their phone.
Almost down to like the wire. What is that word? Pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah. Because
you're taking geographical locations. And actually, if you look in your iPhone, under like a whole bunch of hidden settings, it actually, your iPhone is continuously tracking you, even when you turn it off. It's always tracking your location, almost to the exact location.
Yeah.
So,
sketchy stuff.
It's gonna be great. Continue being a content creator and post your stuff. Be an influencer. Get millions of followers.
Don't use DJI.
Don't use DJI.
Delete TikTok off your phone.
Which is, I mean, so it's funny because I just did an event this last weekend.
Yeah.
And my main job was just to capture the event. And then there were like, I want to say 10 influencers on the event. one of the influencers had like 5 million on TikTok and I think like almost like 300 million or something like that on Instagram. It was like crazy numbers. And those are probably skewed a little bit, but they were up in the millions on both sides. And to that, I was like, holy smokes. I mean, to put it in perspective, at the game that we went to, there were 70,465 people or something like that. 70,000 plus people in that arena. It was stacked. To know that like over 3 million people follow you and see your stuff, like that's an unfathomable amount of people. Like you can't, like you, for you to actually see that is crazy. Absolutely crazy. But you're also getting, like China is getting that information. For free. Well,
yeah, kind of
at little to no cost to them.
Yeah,
we're offering that up on a silver platter. And so for those who are content creators on TikTok, I'm not trying to ban you or like shun you or anything like that, because I think it's great that you can make money that way. But I do think there has to be some sort of regulation on what kind of content and information is being shared with other countries, especially for us over here who are supposed to be U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
So that's my take. Be careful on what you're sharing out in the world. Make sure you do
read your terms of service.
Your terms of services with Adobe. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this week's podcast. Man, we're looking forward to growing and doing more, especially with our community. So if you are interested and want to be on the podcast, if you have a specific take as a creator and you want to offer up and have a conversation with Colin and I, hit us up in the DMs. We'd love to talk with you about it. Try and get you some people on the schedule, because I think as we're growing, so is our community of people and influencers and creators. So if you're interested, hit us up in the DMs, let us know, and we'd love to connect with you. Other than that, thanks for joining us, and we will see you in the next one.